Hello, my name is Ellen Duran Young, Associate Director of Admission at Carnegie Mellon University. Thank you for choosing to join us for the waitlist presentation. This short presentation will review what to expect from our waiting list process, as well as the admission review process for the waitlist. The first thing to note is that any student offered a spot on our waiting list is academically qualified. However, because we admit students directly into colleges at Carnegie Mellon, each with their own first-year enrollment goals, we're limited in the number of students that can be admitted to each college or program. On this slide, we'll see the first-year enrollment goals for each of our academic colleges, including the Information Systems program. The totals reported under first-year class size are the numbers of incoming students each of the colleges hope to enroll for fall 2020. Again, on this slide, we're seeing the first year class enrollment goals for fall 2020, but for the College of Fine Arts. As a reminder, we admit students directly into a school within the College of Fine Arts. And as a result, you'll see that each of the schools have different enrollment goals for their first year class. After the May 1st enrollment deadline, we look at each of the colleges to determine if space is available. While some colleges might have waitlist activity, it doesn't necessarily mean that others will. For example, if we determine that we have space to admit students who were waitlisted to the College of Engineering, that doesn't mean we'll have space available in the Dietrich College to admit students from that waitlist. Before any waitlist activity takes place, we will inform students whether or not we will be going to the waitlist for their specific college or program. We've averaged 53 admits for the waitlist over the last 5 years. However, last year, we did end up admitting a total of 140 students from the waiting list. The size of our waiting list tends to average around 2,700 students. What will impact waiting list decisions? Starting April 10th and until May 1st, students will be able to submit their waitlist reply form notifying us that they'd like to remain active on the waitlist. In addition to this form, students will also be asked to answer a short response question. I want to emphasize that this short response shouldn't take students more than 20 minutes. If it does, it is likely the student is overthinking the prompt. We encourage students to read the question thoroughly, but don't strain over how to respond. Again, short, sweet, and to the point. In order to foster a more equitable and accessible waitlist process, we want to emphasize that none of the following items will impact a student's admission decision. Supplemental materials would include resumes, coding or research projects, recitals, etc. Lobbying calls by or on the behalf of a waitlisted student, additional letters or emails of recommendation, and letters or emails of continued interest will not impact the admission decision. Your next steps will be choosing whether to remain active on our priority waitlist or our regular waitlist as soon as April 10th, but no later than May 1st. To do this, you'll need to access and submit the waitlist reply form found in your Where Am I in the Process portal. We've provided the link below in case you don't have this bookmarked already. The priority waitlist is for students that still consider Carnegie Mellon their top choice and are likely to enroll if offered a spot in the class. They will be among the first considered for admission if space is available, but they will not hear from us prior to May 4th. I want to emphasize that you are not required to submit an enrollment deposit to opt into the priority waitlist. This is a question we get a lot. A student will only be required to pay the non-refundable $800 enrollment deposit if they are admitted from the waitlist. On the other hand, the regular waitlist is for students that haven't identified Carnegie Mellon as their top choice, but still might be interested in a spot in the class later down the line. We consider these students only if there is still room in one of the colleges after the priority waitlist candidates have been considered. Regardless, a final admission decision will be provided by June 1 to any student that's still on the regular waiting list. For both the priority and regular waiting lists, students can submit their waitlist reply form and the short response as early as April 10th, but no later than May 1st. For students on the priority waiting list, You'll be notified no sooner than May 4th as to whether or not there is room in the college you've been waitlisted to. For students on the regular waiting list, you'll be notified no later than June 1st. Students should absolutely plan to enroll at another institution that has offered them admission. If you are ultimately offered a spot in the class at Carnegie Mellon, you will likely need to be prepared to forfeit the enrollment deposit paid to the other college or university, as they are typically non-refundable. We do provide financial aid offers for students that receive a waitlist decision to Carnegie Mellon, and if all of your documents were submitted by mid-February, you should receive an offer by mid-April. We do encourage students and families to complete the financial aid application as soon as possible. If a student is admitted from the waitlist, they have 72 hours to submit the $800 non-refundable enrollment deposit. Therefore, having a complete and final financial aid offer will be an important resource in determining whether or not to enroll if offered a spot in the class from the waiting list. The last thing we want to note is that all first-year students are required to live on campus in on-campus housing. For more information about housing, we do encourage you to explore the residential life and housing websites. That's the end of our presentation, but if you have any further questions or need clarification, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email, or you can call our office directly to speak with a counselor. Thank you again for taking the time to view our waitlist presentation.